message begins right now. There's a profound spiritual possibility open to all people, the opportunity to be absolutely connected to the source of all life, and have that energy steer us in the direction of destiny. Kundalini is the natural creative alignment with the divine. It is our inherent birthright that most have been separated from. How do you unify lower and higher self so that you may reactivate your Kundalini? What would be the advantages of doing so? Activating Kundalini is like connecting to the fast track of the internal superhighway, plugging directly into the mains of universal consciousness. What is Kundalini? To me, the soul is a flowing stream of consciousness, out from the source and back again. In an aligned state, it's an eternal flow of creativity, symbolized by the figure 8. You're in creative alignment with the divine. Every step's interconnected with the universe, an orchestra of synchronicity sounding in your ears. It's like every action is supported, and even when your creative manifestation is blocked in the physical world by someone or something, you're still able to appreciate the deeper significance, the deeper meaning, the higher teaching that all co-creators in the event are being invited to realize. This interconnected flow of creativity is the harmonious flow of an aligned and balanced soul. This is Kundalini. Most, if not all, have suffered the loss of this inherent condition early in life. It is caused by an interdimensional intervention, an opposing consciousness, with the agenda of separating mankind from his divinity and creating an artificial reality in which to enslave him. When you look around you in the world at how humanity lives, it's easy to appreciate how effective this separation has been. We can reactivate this Kundalini, and to do so will guide you on a profound journey of rediscovery of who you truly are and your place in the cosmos. You become once more an active channel for divine expression. So how do you do it? How do you reclaim your true nature? How to activate Kundalini? Firstly, it greatly helps to keep reminding yourself of the higher connection through spiritual practice. The power of meditation cannot be overstated. Of course there are many forms, but essentially the principle we're looking for is a way of softening identification with the lower physical, emotional nature, feeling through that and instead, touching the softness around us. It's experienced as a sense of expansiveness, pure light, stillness and peace. When you begin to embody this higher nature, there's a feeling of well-being and harmony, pure inner peace. It can be done through countless spiritual practices such as meditation, yoga, tai chi, martial arts, shamanism, crystal healing, sounding healing, aromatherapy, Reiki, 5-rhythm stance, through connection with nature and probably one of the most powerful, loving sexual intimacy. But this connection to higher self is not the end of the story. It is only the beginning, a plateau which we must break through and beyond if we are to progress further. We must then cleanse and purify the lower vehicles to actually unify lower and higher self. How do we do that? Opening the channels for Kundalini. The lower self, composed of body and mind, has been essentially separated from the higher self by a karmic barrier in the fourth density which generates ego. It's a consciousness which addicts people to base levels of desire through fear and sense of lack. It causes people to effort to control reality, generating the buildup of conditioned behaviors, isolating them from their inherent connection. So Essential must confront and break down these fear-based patterns that embed the lower consciousness within our being. Imagine sitting in an orchestra of music where the bass section is playing so loud, the finer sounds of the flute, for example, can no longer be heard nor felt. This is the effect within society of the denser vibrational consciousness. Here are some key areas we'll need to look at. Food. Industrialized and processed food is full of impurity, from preservatives to pesticides, hormones, antibiotics, artificial colorings and GMO. These disharmonious substances create excitotoxins within the body. It becomes like white noise, contracting our consciousness into the denser vibrations. It's the same with meat and dairy, which many would argue the human body was not designed to consume or digest. When people convert to a mainly plant-based diet, they get healthier and their vibration rises. Sense of interconnectivity greatly increases. See Trinity's conscious kitchen. Fear and control. Mostly fear happens when we realize we cannot control the situation. We're needing a particular outcome or are resistant to what's really happening. It's all caused by false identification with who we think we are. Such erroneous perceived need creates tightness and density which sucks the soul into it like water into a sponge. You can literally feel the contraction inside. Yet if we challenge this when it's happening, soften into the tightness and unwind the need of an outcome, then we find the universe shapes through us the right action, right defined as being in alignment. Once more you feel your interconnectivity as the one life. External distraction. It would seem society has been purposefully constructed to distract people from their inner self, yet within rests the seat of our power, our Kundalini. Our inner configuration of consciousness creates the reality we're experiencing. Both our line state and distortions are mirrored into the outer world. So trying to fix the outer is a pointless waste of time, and only distracts from the source of a creativity. Hence we must not only delve deep within, but be constantly attuning to our inner self through the events of our lives. You touch the place of the void, infinite potential, the crystal clear clarity of the seer, upon which right action then flows through you. It could also be enjoyment within the physical world, but you do it because you feel a sense of rightness to it. There's no getting lost in it, and your actions are supported by co-creative synchronicity of the universe. Inner child, inner teenager. When we're in the flow of life in this way, then the soul begins to integrate and infuse within. Its purpose is the empowered experience of the One. And so, assuming we allow it, the soul will fall to all the inner density that prevents the expansive freedom of an enlightened life, fueled by Kundalini. Especially it will take us into our inner child and teenager identities, a complex inner web of fixed behaviors, fears and identifications with the illusion. The false self creates false reality filters through which we judge life, thereby creating unaligned choices leading to disharmony. So as the soul now infuses, we must allow the contraction of these filters to expose themselves as inner tightness, but now soften and unwind into the constriction. We must challenge and confront the lower-based behaviors, interrupting the old reactions and instead choosing the responses of our highest truth. This will unwind the old density. Matrix consciousness. The limiting consciousness of the matrix is omnipresent through the field, influencing mind and emotions. It's a web of fixed ideas and behaviors, energy which owns people. We think we're making free choices, but mostly they're confined within limiting fields and parameters. You appreciate this just as soon as you start making choices of the soul. You tend to rebel against the non-aligned ways of society. It's vitally important that we honor this new emerging truth, or we continue to strangle the life out of the soul. There's no need for conflict, but if we work at it, we can still express our truth with tact and without reservation. Sometimes this may mean saying or doing nothing, but in the process, embodying depth of truth that says energetically, this is where I stand. It's all a part of the reattunement inside. If we're constantly expressing the soul, then it will strengthen within. Electrosmog including Wi-Fi. The surrounding field is full of interfering electronic frequencies from Wi-Fi, mobile phone networks, household electrical circuits, gadget appliances. They cause a huge amount of interference within our bodily field. If we can minimize the use of such gadgetry in our lives, then our biomagnetic field will become more harmonious and aligned. People that don't serve, we may find we have to let go of certain relationships. People that constantly remind you of the old consciousness and continue to suck you into it. There will be yet others who beneficially activate your old patterns so that you may break through them. Hence there'll be some relationships to maintain, even if they aren't always harmonious, because they challenge you to be more of you. But in these more challenging engagements, the key is to always take the opportunity to expand who you are within them, even if that means a degree of uncomfortable confrontation. If you are truly meant to be in that relationship, the person will come to accept you as who you truly are, even if they don't agree with you. They'll be brought to us where they're not constantly challenging you, so be mindful of which relationships to maintain and which to release. Thus you're opening into the new consciousness, and Kundalini is strengthening within you through the application of aligned right action. Compassion for all life. Compassion is an inherent characteristic of the soul, signaled by the fact that we're interconnected with all life. Energetically, what we do to another sentient being, we do to ourselves. And if we deny the impact of our footprint on other life, then we're denying an inner aspect of ourselves too. So by exploring the choices we make in relation to the impact on life they have, causes us to increase our sensitivity and intimacy with the whole of life, from the clothes we wear to the food we eat, how we travel and what we consume in society. All these activities contain energy. As we become ever mindful of our actions, then compassion arises naturally, which increases the inflow of Kundalini. Integrating Kundalini into our lives. Generally speaking, in order to activate Kundalini, we must open and harmonize the chakras. In the open hand approach, the chakras are consciousness exchange points where the consciousness of the soul infuses within the body-mind. Where we become identified with the body-mind, then convolution, tightness and disconnection ensues. So by bringing conscious attention into these centers and softening into them, means we reconstitute the natural infusion of soul. At open hand we do this through breath work, exhaling into each chakra and relaxing until we can feel the inflow of soul. Alternatively, it can happen through deep consciousness bodywork. Specifically, you're penetrating the denseness of the body-mind through movement and breathing. You're feeling and touching the lightness through you, that which penetrates you. In attuning to this expansive field, you're literally becoming the sense of soul, which in turn unleashes it within. And the more attention you can bring to this feeling, the stronger it will become. What we need to remember, however, is that you cannot divorce effective spiritual practice from its impact within our lives. So activation of the chakras will highlight the lessons we now need to work through, as we navigate our relationships and external circumstances. It shines a spotlight on them, so we have to work through the distortions highlighted if the effect of the spiritual work is to be fully integrated within our being. Otherwise we're wasting our time. So to activate and unleash balanced Kundalini, there has to be integration of our spiritual beingness into our physical life. The pitfalls of Kundalini activation: without this integration aforementioned, then spiritual practice becomes either ineffectual, or else it disconnects you from true reality. Extreme circumstances: some spiritual practice can lead to premature Kundalini activation. It's being forced without the proper integration of the new, higher beingness within our lives. It's like conducting too much electrical energy through a fuse that's too small. It leads to burnout. The person becomes disconnected from a true interrelation with the world. They often seem distanced, aloof, spaced out and not really in their body. It can also lead to psychotic behavior. We have to be mindful then of practices which unnaturally force Kundalini without the proper integration of the higher spiritual behavior in our lives. In my experience, psychedelic drugs such as ayahuasca and also forced Kundalini yogic breathing are practices to be wary of. What we're looking for is a steady build-up of Kundalini energy over time, allowing it to progressively flow into our density so that we can unravel and integrate through our daily lives. Then it becomes the most profoundly rewarding and beneficial influence imaginable. When Kundalini is activating in a balanced way, you'll know it as an increasing sense of lightness, expansiveness and inner harmony. You'll notice the universe speaking to you through synchronicity. You'll feel the soul compelling you to act in accordance with the natural flow. There'll be an increasing sense of contentment. You'll be having constant breakthroughs where it feels like coming home to who you truly are. The miracle of Kundalini: I've witnessed many people experience the full activation of Kundalini through the open hand work. When the breakthrough finally happens, it's a very special moment. Something you'll treasure your entire life. The soul encased within the lower self, rises up the spine, then reconnects higher and lower self in the third eye. sense of separated self completely vanishes, your true self emerges everywhere and nowhere, penetrating the space between the spaces. Crystal clear clarity emerges. You know yourself experientially as the One. There is nothing that can match it. From now on, you flow eternally as the soul, an individuated expression of the eternal. But most importantly, although you are having this experience of the soul, you still know yourself as the eternal presence that precedes it. You are still the source, still infinite potential. It's like having your cake and eating it too. End of the message. Much love to all of you soul sisters, brothers. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell to get notified moment by moment. Watch DNA Awakening previous videos for a universal understanding about our existence. New subscribers will be updated with the latest articles and informations. We hope this channel has helped you discover where to start on your actual spiritual path. It's a good karma to put a like, comment, subscribe and share with your beloved ones. Leave your suggestion in the field below. All the love to you, beautiful soul.